Amen. Amen. I want to, although that was working and then it stopped working again, so.
Okay.
After it started working, so. These are the AV. It's very good. That's nice. Hi Sandy.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Good. Thank you.
Let's use that speaker. Thank you. I just realized I got 2%.
Sat in the seat since like Zach was chair.
Oh.
I moved so I could see.
When you were secretary, you sit there?
I don't know that we had an actual like,
Yeah. Thing.
and then you put me next to you for
A while.
make sure I didn't get on a
Disciplinary.
stop talking during meetings.
I'm gonna hit record.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the Pleasant Hill Recreation and Park District Board of Directors regular meeting, July 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. We have 3 board members here in person and Secretary Bernardo is here virtually. Vice Chair Worst has an excused absence today. If you are able, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will go on to agenda item number 3. This is public comment. This item on the agenda provides an opportunity for members of the public to comment on any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board that is not on the agenda. There will be opportunity for the public to comment on other agenda items at the time they are discussed. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Michelle, do we have any commenters?
We do not have any public comment.
I go ahead and close agenda item number 3 and move to agenda item number 4, 4.1, report regarding youth and adult sports programs from Victoria Davis, Recreation Coordinator, and Corey Riley, Program Manager. Welcome.
Okay, great. I'm gonna share my screen here. So let me share this. First, I'm gonna get this going.
Just that button, the big one to go forward.
Okay. Share my screen, just wanna make sure, yeah, big one to go forward, so. there we go.
Alright, okay. Well, first, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me today. I know a lot of folks have been in this room and presenting and stuff, but thank you for having me and allowing me to share what's been going on with sports. So let's jump right in. So this is a athletics update for the sports or athletics department. I'll probably use both those words, by the way, because that's how my sports mind thinks. Okay. So, did it work? or not?
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay, there we go. So just a quick overview for athletics, how we're staffed right now. So I am the full-time program coordinator for the sports department. Corey here is the manager for the sports department. But we have a slew, if you will, of part-time staff for the sports department, and that includes referees, scorekeepers. I have a few folks who help coordinate the gym spaces and field spaces for me to make sure that everything stays on pace on a daily basis, and especially on the weekends when we're running leagues. As you can imagine, I cannot be everywhere all at once as much as I would love to. So I pride myself in having retained a very dependable staff up until this point. Some who were here before I arrived and some who have been here with me since I got here. So we're retaining at about 83% right now. So when I started here, 2023, 2024 or so, we had about 30 employees. And we are still holding strong at about 25, which I think is pretty good for part-time staff. So first thing I really want to get into is some of the training that we've been doing here in the sports department. As you may know, Junior NBA is one of the biggest leagues, one of two leagues, but one of the biggest leagues that we run here in sports at PH Rec. And I've been referring to it as Junior NBA / WNBA because the WNBA is a thing as well. So one of the trainings that I started with Sankra actually last year is facilitating a referee training. What I was noticing with my own referees and as well with other referees in other cities and agencies is there was a little bit of a disconnect between how to call games and how to deal with parents and kids all at the same time. And so as you guys may or may not know, but really quickly, my background, the way I started in sports was in professional sports. So I worked for the Los Angeles Lakers for a time. I worked for the Los Angeles Clippers as well for a time in a few different capacities. And in my time there, I built a lot of relationships with referees, with players, with other people who run in those circles. I'm from Los Angeles, so it's very hard to get away from folks at some point, so you just start working with them. And so one of the exciting things about coming into this space is being able to bring the professional part of my career to this space to help move the space forward. And so I hooked up with Gary Zielinski, which is, he was a retired referee in the NBA. Asked him, hey, can you come and chat with me a little bit and see what we can do to kind of help our folks out? It turned out that he was actually working with the Junior NBA to help referees and things like that. So it's something he had already been doing. I said, great, come help me. So I worked with some of the folks we organized with at Sankra, and we did a kind of agencies-wide training with Gary Zielinski. So it really just entailed a lot of the issues that we see, but also ways to be the most efficient referee you can for children's sports, because it is a little bit different at the recreational level than it is at even the high school and college levels. And so he helped put that on. We spent about 4 hours, I think, on a weekend in November with him. And I believe about 10 agencies, 8 to 10 agencies or so were present at that. It was free, no one had to pay for it. And it was a really good opportunity for us to get some training in. Another training that I've started also is concussion and CPR training. CPR training, thankfully, our sports manager here is also the aquatics manager. So it does a lot of the CPR training, as you may know. So she definitely helps with getting our part-time staff trained up on CPR. And I've added concussion training as well, because kids get concussed very quickly. People in general get concussed very quickly, but it's important to not only know the signs in practice and games, but know what to do if a child actually has been concussed during a game or during practice. Again, I cannot be everywhere all at once, and so I'm not gonna know every time a kid has a concussion. So I am putting that responsibility on the coaches and also staff to assist with that.
I moved something, so it might have.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
It should be fine now.
Okay, perfect. So some of the impact of integrating different types of training, new training into this space is that it really has refocused and re-energized the staff. I cannot stress enough how important it is for people to be engaged with the work that they do, even if they're doing it at a part-time capacity. I know that sometimes if you're a part-timer or something like that, it's like, hey, I'm just here to get a couple bucks and move on. But it's very important to me that everyone is engaged with what we're doing, because we're not just doing any kind of job, we're creating an experience that lasts lifetimes for children and their families, and in my case, adults as well and their families. And so we want to make sure that we're as prepared as possible, and it's helped with that as well. It's created a higher level of preparedness and understanding what's going on in your space. Also really increase the confidence of the team, right? Like, beforehand there was a little bit of tug and pull where they wanted me in the space to handle all their problems. Every problem, every issue had to come through me. But I've come to find as of late that there's a lot more solution-oriented conversations happening before I even enter the space. So sometimes a problem has already been solved before I get there, and I am okay with that. So I'm very proud of what these trainings have been able to do. And even for our volunteers, all of our coaches are volunteers. So even enabling them to have the confidence that, hey, if something happens in this space, I feel confident that I'm okay with taking the next steps to make sure that the environment stays safe and everyone's having fun. So a little bit of a breakdown on the youth league. So with junior WNBA and NBA, we do this annually in the winter and spring only. We have a youth basketball league that's been around for a really long time, connected with the NBA and the WNBA. And our numbers have been increasing, which I'm very proud of and I love. As you can see there, slight increases, but increases nonetheless, which is something that my team and I are very excited about and proud of. One of the things that I'm most proud of is that we have increased the girls teams with the junior NBA. When I started in 2023-24, we had about 6 girls teams. As of this last spring season that we ended with, we ended up with 18 girls teams. And I'll explain a little bit later why I believe that is, what inference I've made from that. But that's one of the things that I think is really glaring, but also a very exciting prospect to know that we're engaging more girls in sports. Another little tidbit about me, I was on a council for fair play for girls in sports. I'm a woman myself. So, and I started playing the game of basketball at age 7. And so it's always been a struggle as a woman athlete to find yourself in spaces where you don't have to bust in the space or barrel your way through, but you can be welcomed in with everyone else. And so that's the type of environment that I want to foster here and make sure that we maintain for as long as I'm here and whenever I'm gone as well. So for the youth leagues, we also have junior NFL flag football. That's only once a year, every fall, also annual. We get roughly 100 participants or so. The interest in youth flag football is growing. There's a lot of flag football competition in our area right now. A lot of different agencies and private groups that are doing flag football. So it has created a stagnant standalone number for us for the past few or couple years that I've been here. But I will explain also what I'm doing to help see if we can bolster some improvement in that soon as well. But it's been maintaining right at or slightly above, registration averages year over year. Some improvements to leagues. One of the reasons I'll go back to why I believe the girls are engaging more in junior NBA/WNBA One is just putting it out there that this is junior NBA/WNBA. Kids are very straightforward, even with how they receive information. So if you tell them this is the junior NBA, they're gonna think that this is for the boys only. So we want to make sure that we make sure that they understand that we understand that we want them here. And that's one of the first ways that I felt would help improve that, was just showing them as it's advertised, or their parents first, because they're usually the ones that are doing the reading of our spotlights, or kind of paying attention to the things that we put out there, making sure their parents know first as well. We have a space for your girls and we have a space for your boys as well. The other thing is WNBA jerseys, styled jerseys. So as you probably saw on a couple other slides, there were some boys playing basketball, and they had on Lakers jerseys or the NBA branded jerseys. The jerseys that you're looking at in this picture are from the 2024, the end of the 2024 season. Those are their official photos. That's like one of my favorite ones, so I thought I'd share. But they're wearing Storm jerseys, which is a WNBA team. I let the coaches choose WNBA and NBA. I let them choose the team that they want. I let them choose, first come, first serve, give me your top three, and whatever they choose, I go out there and get it. I have to say it has been very difficult to find WNBA jerseys. They are not readily available like they are for the NBA, and it has been a challenge, but it has been worth every single bit of that challenge. Those smiles you see on their faces are genuine. Their coaches enjoyed coaching, and the girls enjoyed playing, and that's all that I wanted, was for them to have something that they can take with them that meant something to them. Because the boys get to do it all the time. And, as soon as boys are born, most of the time they get a ball in their hand, or, a baseball bat. But the girls, they get something really pink and flowery, or, maybe a little cute ballerina dress to put on, and maybe even ballerina shoes. And most of the time, nobody's thinking about, well, what if this is also an athletic kid? So I want to make sure that as the kids that are coming up in this particular community and communities around us, as they're growing in their athleticness and all that kind of stuff that they have, that we are a place that they can turn to for what it is that they need. We also have a lot of growth in partnerships. So that's been helping as well. NFL branded equipment for the flag football. So if you ever come out to see any of the flag football games, you'll see that all of the insignia says NFL flag football along with Pleasant Hill Rep. That has helped a lot for visibility, because it makes the officialness, if you will, of the program shine even more. We are also directly partnered now with the Golden State Warriors, the WNBA team, the Golden State Valkyries, and the San Francisco 49ers, where they help us in their stadiums with the advertising for our programs. And we've seen a lot of growth for that reason. Unfortunately, I don't have the space for all the kids anymore, but it's a really, really good problem to have. And we'll talk about my little problem later, but it's a really good problem to have. And I'm very proud that that's the problem that I have right now in terms of these leagues. So moving on to some things, camps and activities. So we have our classic vendors who we've had for a while, Skyhawks, Kids Love Soccer, and some tennis as well. But I have recently integrated a few new vendors, Soccer Stars, Rob Skate, which is a skateboarding vendor, and Ultimate Frisbee vendor, Oakland Spiders. Excuse me, Oakland Spiders are actually, I think, maybe a pro or semi-pro Ultimate Frisbee team, who has a wing for teaching kids Ultimate Frisbee. It's a growing sport. It's one of those alternative sports that people are starting to pay attention to. Would not be surprised if we see it in the Olympics at some point. It's not for me, I'm not good at it, but a lot of kids have been gravitating towards Oakland Spiders, which is really awesome. So a little bit more about camps and activities. So the value of camps and the different activities that we do can't be understated, just because it's really the start for a lot of the smaller into middle ages of sports and athleticism. But for those kids who are not league kids, who don't necessarily want to be on a team or don't necessarily want to compete once a week for whatever it is that they're competing for, our camps and activities really help still give a space for those kids who just want to run around or learn how to do a different thing. We've gotten really, really great feedback from expanding our offerings. Like I said, the kids are loving Ultimate Frisbee. Rob Skate is getting very popular as well, especially this summer. The kids are loving the skateboarding. I also skateboarded when I was little. I was one of those kids. I grew up in Southern California, so I surf, I skateboard, I roller skate, I do everything. So for me, again, bringing everything that I've ever done and enjoyed into this space is what helps grow this space, but it helps everyone around me enjoy this space as well, I think. And it's non-traditional athletic options. Like I said, not everyone is a league kid. Not everyone wants to be a football or basketball star or baseball. And sometimes they just need a space to get their run zoomies out and run around with their friends, and then they're back on the video games or whatever else that they do at home. I think it's also engaging parents and children more and creating a new sense of loyalty. There are a lot of new families and young families moving to Pleasant Hill and to this area. My family is new to this area as well. And so there are a lot of people building new relationships and partnerships and things like that with people around them, whether it's folks they work with or people that they're in community with where they live. And so we're now building a new sense of loyalty to our programs. And so again, 2023 versus and 2024 versus 24 and 25, we've seen some increase, which I'm also very proud of. A part of that, I think, is also because of the new offerings, but also the increased loyalty to programming. And we also saw a increase in camp enrollment for the last few summers as well. Okay, so middle school sports. So one of the challenges for the middle school age is that they are not interested in anything they are not interested in. I'm sure, you know, you all understand that from the perspective of working with kids, dealing with kids, whether you had children of your own or nieces or nephews. So it's very difficult at times to get the middle school age children engaged with programming that works for them. So in 2025, I had to get creative. I had some conversations with the middle school PTA here in Pleasant Hill about that very issue and what they wanted to do about it and how we can help and partner and engage in conversation that actually moves something forward. So in 2025, we had a winter inaugural season for volleyball. Games were hosted at Pleasant Hill Middle School. Practices were hosted at Pleasant Hill Middle School, Valley View Middle School, and Sequoia Middle School. So those three schools were the only schools involved that agreed to be involved. And I9 Sports, which is a vendor that we also work with, agreed to do the installation or execution of the programming. So with all our powers combined, the Pleasant Hill Community Foundation came in with us about midway as well to help with some funding and fundraising. And by the time it was time to get started, everything was in place. We had an inaugural season of volleyball league that included, it was co-ed, so there were boys and girls teams. Over 200 participants participated in this inaugural season. There were awesome uniforms and there were scholarships that were given out as well. There was no kid that was turned away from involvement in the program. So if they didn't have the funds themselves, their own families to be able to participate, there was a scholarship fund that the Pleasant Hill Community Foundation held for us to be able to make sure that any kid that wanted to play could play. We're really proud of this program, extremely proud of this program. It was not easy to do. It sounds very simple, right? I work in sports and we live in this community. We work, use Pleasant Hill Middle School all the time to just do the thing. There were a lot of things that had to be done. But it was all worth it to, get to day one and the gym was full and packed with spectators, with teams. I saw the confidence of the players building over time. I would be here at work sometimes and just kind of be doing my routes and walking around outside, and one of the kids would actually know who I was and say, "Hey, I remember you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you too. I saw your game, or I was at your game, or you practiced really well the other day." So that kind of engagement from middle school age children in particular is huge. It's huge because nothing really moves them at this age unless it moves them, right? And so it tells me that we did the right thing, that any sacrifices we had to make, or any conversations that were maybe harder than they should have been, were worth what we had to do to make sure that they had what they needed. So they will be having another season come this fall, and I believe flag football is on the agenda to try next. So we will see how they engage with that, but we know that volleyball works. So volleyball is something that I believe we're going to continue to try to do with them. And so I'm really proud to be partnered with these other two organizations to make that work. Okay, so on to adult sports. So we've got a lot going on with it for the adults. So we've got leagues for the adults, and we also have drop-ins. So for our leagues, we have seasonal leagues, which are bocce, football, soccer, and softball. Basketball is very much year-round for us. As you can see, we have lots of teams per season for bocce, a little less for some of the other sports. For football and soccer mainly, but softball, 26 teams is quite a bit of teams for softball, but also something that we've been managing really, really well weekly. And then for drop-ins, we have drop-in cornhole, badminton, and also drop-in basketball. Bocce is definitely our most popular sport here, followed by basketball. It is something that people are very engaged in. I get a lot of communication when it comes to bocce, which I don't mind. We've been working very closely with bocce teams and with the league to make it a league that benefits them in a way that makes sense for them, playing in a way that makes sense for them. So I'm really proud of some of the advances that we've made specifically in bocce over the past couple of years. For football, that one is a lot smaller, but it's not a lot of output. All we've really got out there is flags, a football, and some lines, and they just go after it. So we usually do spring, summer, and fall for them as long as we have enough teams. For soccer, same thing. Not really much needed. Just a few lines, a couple cones and nets, and we're out to the races. We also do summer, spring, and fall for them. For softball, also summer, spring, and fall. We have had some challenges with registrations for softball, but we're still holding very strong. We used to have, at least when I started, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The Wednesday nights have gone away for co-ed and men's teams, but the Sunday men's and Tuesday and Thursday co-eds are standing very strongly for us right now. So we're happy to keep that going for them. And for basketball, they don't stop. They are happy to ball all day, every day, which I'm all about. So we actually have so much interest in basketball that we have added 2 sessions to the winter and 2 sessions to the summer. Beforehand, we were just 1 session per season, but because of how the calendar is set up, winter and summer gives us enough room to be able to split that and have 2 separate sessions. And we tend to get new teams and returning teams every season and every session. So that's something we're really proud about being able to keep going. So some improvements that have helped all the leagues really, but mainly the adult leagues is one thing is quick scores. So quick scores has been a lifesaver for me. Especially for bocce, because bocce schedules are the hardest schedules in the world to make. They are not easy. I don't think it really matters how long you've been doing it. It's always something. But Quick Scores is an excellent piece of software and an excellent tool to be able to break things down, see them the way you need to see them. It's very analytic if you want it to be, and it's very straightforward for the user. And we use right now Quick Scores only for bocce and softball, and may potentially add basketball later because they have so many teams, but we don't necessarily need to because scoring for basketball is very easy. But Quick Scores is one of those things that Michelle actually brought to me at some point, like, hey, this may help you do things a little bit easier. And I was all about it. We did some training. I'm like, yeah, I want it. So I'm very happy to have it. Very grateful to Michelle for bringing that to the table because it has been a lifesaver. Another lifesaver is the robotic field line painter that goes by the name of Monet, I hear. The robotic field line painter, also something that Michelle brought to the table for us and helped us secure it. It's a robot that does all the field lines for us. So all those pretty lines out there that the guys were doing a wonderful job of doing themselves by hand manually, it now does it in, depending on the field, 10 minutes or less. It'll, you start the thing, the paint is in there. It'll make the softball lines if you want it. It'll make the football lines. It can make them all at once. If you want multiple lines on there, maybe it's 20 minutes instead of 10. But it has really helped me and the guys out there on the field be able to kind of have a little bit more time in our day to do other things. Another improvement is online registrations. When I first began here, everything was still being done on paper. So anytime registrations opened up, they would either be emailed to me or brought into the office for every adult sport that we had, but all of the camps and activities and things for the kids were online. And so I had to take some time to figure out how we can do that for the adults as well. And the online registrations has also given me a lot of time back administratively in the office to be able to, make things a lot easier for me. I talked about the WNBA jerseys and referee training and how helpful that has been, as well as the two adult basketball sessions in summer and winter. Allows us to bring in more teams and revenue throughout the year for basketball. So as I wrapped up here, just want to highlight a couple of the strengths and a bit of the challenges that we have in the athletics department. So some strengths are reputation. Reputation for Pleasant Hill Recreation and the sports department was already high level. I'd like to shout out Lance and everyone who's ever worked with and for him. He is a wealth of knowledge and he has been my oracle in this space. And I am extremely grateful to him. He's such a gracious guy and he's my guy. I know he's not a feelings guy, but I'm a feelings girl. So I like
Talking
to,
about Lance.
yeah, we're talking about Lance. That's my guy. He's always taken good care of me and has ushered me into this space and in a way that I really appreciate. And so, thank you for that, Lance. The other strength is high demand for programs. I love the high demand for programs, although there are some challenges to the demand and retention of not only our community, but of our staff really helps me to not have to stress out about whether or not I have enough people to work a thing or do a thing. I don't typically have that issue. Some of the challenges are space, facility wise with all the demand. I would love to have a gym sometime. But sometimes it doesn't work that way. We work with the school district as best we can to make sure that Pleasant Hill Middle School stays as available to us as possible, but sometimes things do come up where we can't get as much space for as much time as we want, and that is a challenge. As I mentioned before, middle school ages and getting them engaged in programming, and although staff and having enough staff is not an issue per se, if I could have everything I wanted, I would have even more. So I just threw that on there because, being able to bulk up on staff is always nice. So just a little bit about one last thing about what the Play for All and what it means for us and how we've been using that. So the increased participation of girls in our sports programs is really, really important to me. As I mentioned before, and being able to engage them in the way we have is I think excellent, but there's also more that we can be doing. So I continuously will work on that to make that happen. Multiple abilities served as well. We've had a lot of opportunities to work with folks with different mental, physical, and emotional abilities. At certain ages, things can be a little bit rocky for kids and for those who have different diagnoses or issues physically or mentally that they deal with. It's important for us as their recreational staff to be able to deal with that in a way that's appropriate and careful, but caring at the same time. And I think myself and my staff have been able to do that. And also the DEIB training that's available for all of the staff and volunteers has been instrumental in being able to serve multiple abilities and communities as best we can. So I'm grateful for that being in the space as well, because it makes the importance of it even more glaring. And that is about it. I'll wrap up there and answer any questions you may have.
Wow, thank you, Victoria. I'll open up to the board for any questions or comments. Just open it all up. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for being here. It's been a couple of 2.5 years now you've been here? 3?
Somewhere about 2.5.
2.5
Yeah,
years,
we're edging towards 3. Yeah.
Okay, well, this was such an impressive presentation. And I thank you for that and for the update, because, I hear smatterings of things just from general conversation about leagues and teams and this and that, and all of it has been good, especially with the kids. And I had heard about the middle school effort there, which I agree, that's an area that is just begging for more growth and getting kids in there and wanting to do things at that age, because it is a difficult age sometimes.
Yeah.
But with what you're doing, I want to thank you. And yes. Oh, wrong
Different
Sandy.
Sandy.
Wrong
Different
Sandy.
Sandy.
Hi, Jim. I know Lance has been giving you a lot of good information about things that he's seen, and he's obviously involved still in sports.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with the program that's out there, and I look forward to what's coming up in the future.
I appreciate that.
Welcome.
Okay, did you want to jump in?
Sandy has her hand raised.
The virtual hand raised.
Yeah.
My virtual hand raised, 2 hands, 3 hands. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, Victoria and Corey, what a wonderful presentation. I think Chair Tran has brought, so many segments of our district to us, and we've been learning about things we had no idea were going on, and yours is absolutely one of them. There is obviously so much energy being put into this program. So Victoria, thank you very much for all that you have brought to that in the last couple of years. It's really phenomenal. I had a couple of questions here. You mentioned tennis very quickly in passing, I think, and I was just wondering, both for now and in the future, sort of what our prospects are for having some tennis capability.
Yeah, so I'm actually, that's a great question, because I'm actually in the process of revamping our tennis program right now. I started a little bit last year with kind of feeling out some of the different tennis vendors and those who are doing kind of high level tennis programming here. A lot are highly associated with the U.S. Tennis Association, which is pretty high level, and we definitely want to keep it as recreational as we can to make sure that those that are engaging with tennis feel it's appropriate for their skill level. A lot of people are beginners, especially the children, but we have adult tennis as well. And so a lot of the adults are beginners also. So we want to make sure that we maintain a level of comfort with that particular sport that's appropriate for the space. So
Right.
we're in the process of revamping the tennis programming, and going to get some instructors in here soon that can help kind of create some balance for us. But it is high on the priority list of things to do next. It's my
Good,
next big
good.
project, actually. Yeah.
And I would think space, one of your challenges is key as well. So I'm interested in seeing sort of how that works out, what relationships you have. My second thing has to do with the middle school after school program. And I'll be real honest, I haven't gotten a really clear picture of, sort of our involvement in it. And I don't know whether that's a PR thing or whatever, but everybody who seems to be aware of the program thinks the school is putting it on, and not the park district. And I don't know, that kind of troubles me that somehow there isn't some recognition of basically they're just providing the space, we're providing all the programs, and the registration program, and all of that. So just an observation that I don't think the public is clear on the district's role in the after-school program. But since we went from a very public issue with graffiti over at Pleasant Oaks Park to this wonderful after-school program to divert the downtime of kids, it seems like that's just a natural connection for us to have been involved in that. So I'm proud to hear that we are in the ones that are involved in it. It's not just the school. Anyway, just FYI about sort of what the word on the street is on that one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's see. In your winter camp, no, I'm not quite sure that I remember exactly what it is, but you said that there's going to be like flag football next year. This year we had volleyball. Do different schools play each other, and do we provide transportation, or is that a challenge that the board should be aware of that you might need some support for?
No. So if I can give you just a little bit of clarity to both of your questions here. So in terms of our role with this programming, it's very inaugural, very new. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of times you'll hear about the bad stuff before you hear about the good stuff. I almost promise you that, right? So our role here with the middle school program is basically like the launching pad and the base, the foundation for this program to grow out of. By themselves, or even by ourselves, we were unable from these silos to create a program that would actually go. From my understanding, this is not something that was new in terms of effort. Like there had been some efforts over the years in different kind of iterations and timeframes or eras where the middle schools or the parents would be really excited to do a thing, but it will fall through the cracks for a lot of different reasons. So our role here, or my role, was really to use my background and expertise to create more glue to the situation. So usually I wouldn't necessarily partner with so many people, so many cooks in the kitchen at the same time. And that was truly, honestly, a part of the challenge at times, but I knew it was the only way to make it actually go. So our role is really kind of the glue that keeps this thing together right now, even if it means not a whole bunch of recognition yet. I gotta be honest with you, I'm used to that too, right? I'm used to things happening before people know I had anything to do with it, which is okay, for me. But as it grows and builds the capacity that this particular program has to shine, I would say, the way that we want it to will also grow with it. Also, with there being two other kind of organizations involved, I would say we all kind of, the reason why it feels like the middle schools put it on is because we kind of wanted, that's what we want, that's the feeling we wanted. So it's kind of a good thing that that's what's happening, you know, what you're hearing out there. Because we didn't want it to feel like, you know, if you don't ever use PH Rec, you can't do this thing, or if you've never engaged with the Pleasant Hill Community Foundation, this is not for you, or if you've never been to I-9 Sports, you probably shouldn't do. We wanted it to feel like if you go to Valley View Middle School, you can play. If you go to Pleasant Hill Middle School, you can play. If you go to Sequoia, you can play. Unfortunately, other kids that were any middle school that didn't say yes to the commitment weren't allowed to register this time around, but the hope is to continue to grow the program to other middle schools and make it sustainable so that when either if Pleasant Hill, you know, if we get plucked out of it, or I-9 gets plucked out of it, or the community foundation gets plucked out of it, that we've created a space that can't be removed itself. So starting there in the middle schools and making sure that it's fermented there was the main.
Make it a tradition. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard to.
Correct.
That's hard to dislodge. Yeah. My final comment is, and this is just on behalf of many bocce people that I talk with, and it's just a request that there's been so many left turns in registration over the last couple of years that I think it'd be really helpful in the communication of that. If there was something in the subject line, if there was going to be a change, that there would be something in caps in the subject line so that people are aware that there's something really important there they need to look at. And it's just, it's been an element of frustration. And so I think that could help a lot just in communication. So thank you very much for all that you do. And I'm done with my comments now. Thank you, Chair Tran.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. You want to say?
I just love the enthusiasm, you know, I mean, as somebody that, you know, I grew up, I started playing in fourth grade in the Pleasant Hill Rec, the elementary league, and then continued that through middle school, and then when I was in high school, I score kept and coached teams, and then I was a seasonal worker, you know, dragging softball fields, and you know, so I've been involved in this. So it's nice to see how much more advanced it has gotten. And before, when it used to just be softball and basketball, I love the fact that we've got, you know, like girls sports and girls playing on girls teams, and that league has jumped from 6 to 18 teams. That makes me like super excited about the opportunities and all the emerging stuff. You know, I mean, ultimate frisbee, you know, I mean, everything. I mean, I love how everything's on the table. You know, you're looking, you know, we need, you know, like person like you know, looking forward thinking and looking at all that stuff that's got a pulse to what's, you know, out there. And so I'm excited to see, I mean, I'm stoked at where we're at. And I'm excited to see where we're gonna go, you know, with your leadership. So thanks for
Thank you, I
everything you
appreciate
do.
it. I'm a rec kid too, that's where I started, so you know, it's gotta make sure we keep the rec kids growing out here.
Absolutely, especially in this age where all these kids, you know, there's such a push to specialize and play travel ball and all this stuff. We gotta create I love how you keep saying, you gotta create that opportunity for, you know, keep it recreational, keep it entry level, so that everybody has an opportunity to play. I love that. I love that you said that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just blown away by this presentation. It's really high level. It hits on a lot of different points. I love your talk in and around diversity. That's one of the key areas I think the board really wanted to hear about during this presentation. So I love the fact that you as a leader have really brought that into your program. So that's awesome. Thank you for doing that. I just had a few questions. I want to piggyback off of one question that Secretary Bernardo had about tennis, but shift a little bit because I would be remiss not to ask because somebody's going to ask anyways. Are we thinking pickleball, even if we don't have the facilities? And how is that in the plan sometime? Because I know someone's going to ask that question.
Yes, yes. So I didn't put it in there because I was making a bet with myself.
That somebody will bring it up
that
anyways.
somebody would bring it up. So thank you for that. So to your question of pickleball in particular. So I didn't know much about pickleball until pickleball became a thing. I'll say that. But in learning more about pickleball, one of the main tenets of it are the way that the courts are set up. Unfortunately, we don't have the facilities for that, right? Currently, when we do run our tennis programs, it's at College Park High School and on their tennis courts. That's a high school tennis court, high school grade tennis court. They compete on that, they practice on that. We cannot put the type of lines down that we would need for pickleball to teach it or play it. And also, you know, for the I would say tennis enthusiasts and tennis purists, they also don't want to see those lines on their court. The pickleball community is growing as a community of its own, very separate from tennis. So I'm also very sensitive to that because I understand it, but also outside of that, there's a bit of a lack of control that we have on being able to at least just put the lines down that we need. Another option that we might have would be using indoor gym space. It's also a challenge though, because we already have, you know, a lot of programming in gyms already and minimal space. So it is something that we're thinking about. It is something that I would love to put out there, if not just to go ahead and give it to everyone. But I'm a huge proponent the way I think about certain things is if I cannot do it correctly or as excellently as possible, then I'd rather not, you know, put that out there and create an expectation that we can't maintain. So yes, to your question, we are thinking about it, trying to figure out what we can do. But we do have a couple of challenges that are stalling that here and there.
Great, thank you. Another question I had as well, and it goes to sort of the marketing aspects of things. And I appreciate your comments in and around trying to grow, say, the volleyball component of it. And I sort of understand that you have to establish a tradition before you can actually sort of do other things like marketing or whatever it may be. But one of the things that we've been trying to emphasize a bit more in and around this is that you guys do such great programs, and I've been loving these presentations because it's telling us what I actually didn't know completely. I knew bits and pieces, but hearing about this is like, if I didn't know about this, I can bet that most of the public doesn't either, right? Yeah. And most of the public probably doesn't know that Rec and Park puts on so many things, and as part of our fundraising efforts, whatever form that may take. That was one of the questions. Well, what does Rec and Park do? What has it done for me? And what has it done for the community? I would hope that, you know, working with Jen or somebody, marketing some of these things a bit more so that there is some recognition of what all the energy and effort you put into this. I mean, I'm just blown away by what you've done and just in the last couple of years. But it doesn't help if I know that. I think the public should know that, right?
Sure.
This is something that we put on for the benefit of the public. We are entrusted with their dollars to do this, right? So even though I think it's noble to say, let's build this, it's their money, right? We're tax money, it's taxpayer money. And so getting the word out saying, we are doing this for your benefit of your kids, the benefit of the community, I think that's a message that we should really deliver because it's great. What you're doing is great. It shouldn't be a secret. It should be like, everybody should know. And I heard the same thing as well too, because my daughter's just one step away from middle school. And I actually heard parents talking about the volleyball in their elementary school, like, oh, there's this new thing coming up, you know, volleyball. But they were talking as if we had nothing to do with it. And I said, wait a minute, I'm the chair, and I know it has something to do with it, but that's not how they're talking about it. But you put so much energy into that you should get the recognition for that. Right?
Well, you know what, for me, the recognition is 200 kids involved in sport that wouldn't be beforehand. And like I said, when something is really like inaugural and it's your baby, you know, you kind of hold it with the careful gloves. So I definitely understand where you're coming from there, because you know it does benefit not only the kids that are engaging now, but everyone else who'll be involved later, to know like how much support is behind it. But we also need a lot of support from the parents too. You know, working with the PTA was really huge for making this move forward. But at some point in 2 years or 3 years, their children will be out and we'll have a new set of parents in. So we also have to create a flow, you know, like this flow that makes sense where, you know, the new parents coming in heard from the old parents coming out that, hey, you want to take my spot, so that, you know, it's there's a lot that goes into it, but I 100% agree with you. Like there's a lot of notice that we hope these programs continue to get, especially for the middle school, so that it's sustainable. Like the sustainability part of it is very, very important to me.
Thank you.
The
Yeah.
sustainability without additional district funds. So, you know, like if we were to run this just with our staff, like instead of the parents and I-9 Sports and all of that, it would cost us a lot of money.
Yes.
Right,
there's also
so,
that.
So right now, you know, kind of, Victoria has served as she said, the glue. Like she's brought out everyone together and is building this program that isn't going to, you know, be a continual, cost to the district to provide staff and do all of this. So, so I think that's super important.
Yeah. But we will always be support.
Yeah.
We will always be here to support. But you know, like Michelle was saying, we want to make sure that the dependability stays in that nucleus, that it's very tight and together, so that we can support in more ways that make sense. Yeah.
I have comments on that later on regarding something that's very sort of similar in vein with that, but I do see that the district in general tends to be the glue that holds a lot of things together. You can say that for a lot of league sports, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot of volunteerism and other types of community involvement and partnerships that we do. My final question is I'm going to ask is the same one I asked to Corey a while ago, because I saw on your wish list. I always look for that because I always want to hear what do you guys need from staff. And so the first thing on your list is space.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had to pick or dream of what is your dream space, what do you think you would want to advance your programs to the next level? If you could just think of something that we had all these funds ready, said, Victoria, here's a pot of money for you. What do you want?
I don't think.
What's the next thing?
I
What's
don't
the
think-
next thing on your list? What facility on your list?
I don't think I know.
What do you know? What is it then?
I know that a sports complex that includes an aquatic facility, offices for sports, and turnable, programmable space, but that is mainly meant for sports to run out of would be ideal. If we're talking about my dreams.
Like a multi-purpose gym space?
Multi-purpose gym space, so multiple courts that go from here to there, however long the space is. Maybe upstairs space that holds offices where we can see down onto the gym floors or stuff like that if needed. Proper, cameras, on the outside, because people like to break into spaces like that just to play, apparently. I've seen it happen before. I used to run a 24-hour fitness as well in my past life, so that happens. But yeah, that's what I would say. I think it would be a huge value to the district.
Yeah, it's good to know. Thank you. Any other questions, comments from the board? No? Any public comment?
Nope, no public comment.
Thank you, Victoria, for your presentation.
you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Corey, as well. All right, we'll close that agenda item 4.1, move to agenda item 4.2, report from Director Danny Vincent, regarding the California Association of Recreation and Park District Annual Conference, May 21st to 24th. It's all
Who
yours.
wants to follow that? I will, it was very nice. I don't think it was quite the level of excitement that we would get from Victoria's presentation. So this year I went, I know last year 4 of us went, this year there was just timing issues, and our general manager was there, Lance was there, and I was there attending. So it was May 21 to 24, Paradise Point, San Diego, not a bad spot. The weather was very nice, but they put on a great conference. You get to reacquaint yourself with people that you've met in the past, you meet new people. There were several very new people, board members that I talked to and met, that were only on their boards, had been on there for like a couple of months, for various reasons. A lot of sharing of ideas, collaboration. One of the things they did last year and this year, I don't know about years past, is they have a session each day, the Thursday and Friday, about it's roundtables for board members, and then the roundtables for GMs. And it's really a great conversation. It doesn't take much to get the discussion started on what's happening, and what questions board members have in different districts, what they might need help with. It was, and like I said, there were several new people there, so they definitely had questions, and there were people there that have been on boards for probably 25 to 30 years, me 5 years, and in between. So they were able to get a whole lot of information that was going to be helpful to them, and also points of contact. Our district received a safety award with several other districts, which was nice. We were acknowledged, and Michelle was at a different table, and she's going, "You go up there, accept that certificate." So I got to do that. The exhibit hall was there, which is always interesting in between sessions to go into. The vendor for the robotic line piece of equipment was there, and so I told them how much we were enjoying that. I would have, stood there with a sign that said, "We really like this, you should buy one." But a lot of sponsors, vendors, just kind of, and they were all they were, I think, pretty much all aware of our district and who we were and where we were. I think there was one that isn't there a Pleasant Valley?
Pleasant Valley, they
Yeah,
frequently
yeah,
get us
they said,
confused.
"Oh, you're going," I said, no, that's a different
I
one.
think so.
This particular, the California Association of Rec and Park Districts is made up of, I think, 80 districts, or 70 to 80,
Right around 70.
something like that. And there are, in the state, there's a little over, I think it's more like 120. So they're still working on getting, for whatever reason, but some of them can be very, very small. They're just not necessarily going to be part of CARPD. But there was a good crowd. Some of the sessions that I did, and I won't go into each of them, but there were, the typical general membership meeting, which is always interesting. There was kind of a riding the change wave. The theme of the conference was waves of change. So that's what it was. So that was kind of the focus. So they had developing park standards. I did not attend that one. I think you might have, or Michelle might have. But there was an insurance session, update on fees, charges, and taxes. I've got a copy of the PowerPoint on that one, if that's something that we want to send out. The roundtables, as I said, the GMs and staff were in one room, and the board members were at different. Conversation that is Matt put that on from Capri, and he's an excellent speaker and he does a great job and all the different things that he talked about. Beyond the Buzzwords, Understanding Inclusive Play, that was a good session. There was a LAFCO 101. There was a grant writing readiness workshop that I attended that I had several notes from. And then there was another roundtable, but it was just, it seemed like the crowd of people was very engaged in anytime you go to one of the breakout sessions, you're either not gonna get, you might get some people talking, but people were very willing to ask questions and participate. So it was well done. I was not surprised because the one I went to last year was well done. Just so you know, next year, it is Memorial Day is the 25th. It's early in 26. The conference in 2026 for CARPD is May 27th to 30th. I think the 26th is for the board. You're a board member. And it's in Monterey, so it's a little closer, but I don't know if they have the which hotel it's gonna be at, but I'm sure it will be nice. But it was well done. I enjoy going to those to see how many people are there that I can remember, and if I had any points that I wanted to see how things are going with them. It was a well done conference. That's my report for 2025. Any questions?
We'll open up the questions, comments. Thank you for reporting out.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. I love the representation. Any public comment on?
Nope.
Any public comment? All right. We'll go ahead and close agenda item 4.2 and move to agenda item 4.3, report from the general manager.
Great, thank you. There's a attached report, written report, but I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. One, I just wanted to emphasize the local government academy and thank the city for including us. They added an extra week to their local government academy from last year, from 4 to 5 weeks, so that we could be included. It went really well, and I thank Chair Tran for joining me and welcoming the group. And so it was an excellent opportunity to speak to. They had 23 participants, 23 really engaged residents. So that was a great opportunity for me to talk about not only what we do, who we are as a district, how we partner with the city, but as well as identifying some opportunities in the future for these highly engaged residents to potentially look at serving their community as a board member. So that was great. I just wanted to also give a update on the finance manager position. On Tuesday, I heard from the recruiting contractor, and as of Tuesday, it closes on Sunday, but as of Tuesday, we had 16 applications and 14 of those met the minimum requirements. So that was very exciting. So we will have a pool of candidates to choose from. So I'm excited about that. Then also just wanted to thank all of you for your participation in 4th of July, the 4th of July parade. Thank Jen and Akina and everyone for their enthusiastic support of the 4th of July parade, as well as staff, park staff who manned the park and cleared clogged toilets and did all of the fun things as part of 4th of July. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Open it up to the board for questions and or comments. I'm just peeking over just to be sure I don't see any virtual hands pop up. No virtual hands. I just have one, maybe two comments. So first is that thank you, Michelle, you did a wonderful job at the local government academy, really pitching the district. I was able to speak to probably about 3 folks or so who are super excited to just get involved with the city at large. But to also be able to see that there's another agency that they can get involved with as well too. So we're encouraging others to come and be a part of local governance. So we'll see what the future holds, definitely. But thank you for doing that, Michelle. And then the other thing was I saw the memorial bench. So I want to thank Tom for putting that in. That's when I donated. I actually walked out there because I saw it on the agenda. It looks great where it is. So thank you for putting that there. That's all the comments I had. Any public comments on your?
No public comments.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close agenda item 4.3 and move to agenda item 5, the consent calendar. Consent calendars are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. Unless somebody pulls an item, I will open the floor for a motion to move the consent calendar.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Thank you. We have a motion in a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I see a hand.
Yeah, I see that. Any opposed? All right, 4-0, motion carries. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and close the consent calendar, agenda item 5, and move to agenda item 6, the public hearing. Just to notice, both agenda items 6.1 and 6.2, due to various challenges, will be continued on to our July 24, 2025 meeting.
Yes,
Is that right? Okay.
that's correct.
Excellent. So they will be heard then. I'll go ahead and close agenda item 6, the public hearing, and move to agenda item 7, action items. 7.1, authorize general manager to extend a 3-year managed services agreement contract with Keep It Simple for IT services and support for an amount not to exceed $238,801.
Thank you, Chair Tran. So I believe the board may be aware. So last year, last year we had a cyber attack, and that seemed to originate from our contractor at the time, who was doing our managed IT services. And so so due to that compromise for us, as well as a couple of other the other clients that they had, we ended that contract and we entered into a contract with Keep It Simple IT Services, or KISS. And so at that time, we brought them on board, not only to see how that would go. We brought them on board because they were they worked with us to get us back up. They worked with the city because our contractor is also a contractor with the city, and a lot of our infrastructure or our IT infrastructure runs through the city. So our IT infrastructure runs through the city, which saves us money for having all of those, servers and all of the things. So we do pay an annual fee to the city for that. But we brought them on. Not only have they been fantastic, but they were about $40,000 less than our previous contractors. So we had saved some significant funding. And so we entered into a 1-year contract with them at the time. Now that we have everything kind of fixed and up and running, we're recommending that we enter into a 3-year contract with them. And so the total amount is for the 3 years. You see in the proposal for the extension, there's a slight escalator. It's a 6% annual rate increase that they have built in. And so I will mention, so the year 3 total cost will be $84,000. That's still $20,000 less than what we were paying our previous managed IT services. So the district is still paying a lot less for a lot better service, I will tell you. We were super frustrated with our previous IT contractor. We didn't know how good we could have it until we got KISS in. Lance does manage this contract, efficient. They have the confidence of the city, which is important to us since we rely on the city for some of our IT infrastructure and backbone support. And they're very responsive, as well as reasonable and in costs for their services. So that's all I have. I do have Lance here, although I gave Lance's report, even though his name's on it. So you can ask Lance any questions as well. He had my name on it, and then I took my name off and I put his on, and then I gave his report. So
Awesome.
anyways, I'll take any questions.
Yeah. Open the board for I guess we should do questions and comments.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a virtual hand. I see it over there.
Yeah, Michelle, I'm not entirely clear about the liaison role here with the city. Is the city changed to KISS also, or is this a service that is going to be liaisoning with the team that handles the city and our items at the city?
So the city moved to KISS at the same time we did.
Okay.
So we were both using the previous OnTie, and then when we both had the cyber attack, we both moved to KISS at the same time. So
Okay, that wasn't clear. Thank you.
Any other questions or
Um,
comments?
Thought it was pretty straightforward and numbers look reasonable, and I'm glad that you found a contractor that does what they're supposed to do.
And just a question, so the list of items, so this is essentially the hardware and then most of the office productivity software.
yeah, so they're a help desk. They manage all of our hardware, firewalls, servers, all of that. So they manage all of that, and including our Office suite. They manage that and our authentication and getting everybody on that. And so they do the maintenance and all of that. And so they take care of all of that. They also handle our help desk. So anytime an employee has an issue, they contact them and they help them work through that. So
That includes our email support.
Yeah, email support and all of that,
SharePoint
so-
support as
Yep.
well too, I'm assuming.
all of that, and M365 suite, all of that. So
Okay. Sounds reasonable. What questions I had. Like, there's no other questions or any comments? Any comments from the public on this item?
no comments.
All right, since there's no other comments, since it's an action item, I'll go ahead and open the floor for a motion in a second.
I'll go ahead and move that we authorize the general manager to extend a 3-year managed services agreement with Keep It Simple for IT services and support for an amount not to exceed $238,801.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I got 4. Anybody opposed? All right, 4-0, motion carries. Thank you. Go ahead and close agenda item 7.1, move to agenda item 8, global report from committee chairs and opportunities to set meeting dates. It doesn't look like there's.
Don't have anything. I do need to set a land and facilities committee meeting. But I'll deal with Derek when he gets back.
Okay, so we'll do that when he gets back. All right, then we'll go ahead and close agenda item 8, move to agenda item number 9, board announcements and requests to staff. Why don't we just go in line? We'll go first with Director Vincent.
I just want to thank everybody again for all the effort having to do with the 4th of July parade. It was a lot of fun. Went over to party in the park after that, and there was an amazing amount of people there, all having a good time. The weather was perfect, and it was just a wonderful celebration. But thank you very much for staff in particular. And Michelle being responsive when somebody came up to me in the park and said, the women's room is overflowing, and this was very early on. And I think Alan was the one that wound up having to go over there, so I texted Michelle and she got who needed to be over there, and it was taken care of very, very promptly, which I went over there to check. And because there's a line per usual out of the ladies' room, and I said, are all the stalls working? And oh yeah, everything's good. And I said, okay, good. So it worked out fine. But thank you to Alan for doing a quick job with that. And I don't have anything else.
All right, thank you. Move to Director Glover.
Yeah, I was bummed to miss 4th of July, especially it was the most amount of texts I got from people wondering where are you? And
Yeah.
but thank you, Michelle, for Covered for me.
I'm on Jen put yours and Sandy's banners, and that caused more of a stir than we probably should have.
I got no less than 15 texts with videos and pictures, and so I felt like I had a bird's eye view of the parade. But yeah, especially since it would seem like probably the best weather we've had for the 4th
It
of
was.
July parade.
Yeah.
Inevitably next year it'll be 105 when I'm back in town. So, but yeah, it looked great. And kudos to everybody that all the effort that went into putting that on. I just had one recommendation, something that came up recently with PHBA, and I also seen some stuff from the PD put out, and that has to deal with this increase of e-bikes and e-motorcycles. And I know we had some issues at PHBA, not really issues, but it was reminiscent of the Bad News Bears, the original movie with Kelly Leak, riding on a motorcycle out in the outfield. And and I think it had come up at that point, these other sports leagues and our own sports leagues is like, what is the policy? I know it's, no motorized vehicles for the most part, but what, I think this is something that's going to continue to grow, and I've seen more and more of it. So I'm sure that that's something you all have seen. And I don't know if at some point it's an opportunity for us to have a conversation or an update on where that may be, or
All right, thank you. We had to move to Secretary Renato.
I'm on R&R, but I just wanted to thank Michelle for making it possible for me to attend this meeting virtually, because I really did want to see Victoria's presentation, and it was everything I'd hoped it would be. So anyway, thanks, Michelle, for your help in that. That's all.
All right, thank you for that. And I'll just finish this off here. So again, thank you, Michelle, for the Local Government Academy. I'm super excited to see the numerous participants in that. Had fun at the 4th of July. All the kids had fun. I want to thank Jen Toits for driving and then sort of allowing me to hop on either side of her as we were driving around. Thank you, of course, to Derek and Kenny for allowing us to use their Jeeps. So that was great. I did have sort of one observation, though, even though it was super fun and I think everybody had a great time. Everybody knew that KTVU was there for the news thread, and apparently I think we were the only ones that didn't know that they were coming. Only knew very late that they were coming, and so there were a ton of interviews that happened prior to the parade from our city leadership, HBA. The 4th of July Commission, a whole other thing, but we were not there for that component of it. And 2 segments of the KTVU involved things that the park is associated with. So they did a segment on La Juntas Park, and then they did a segment on PHBA. But the district was not mentioned, I don't think, in any of those segments itself. And we didn't get a chance to get interviewed. And so it's sort of a little bit of an ask from the staff to kind of look into why we as a district were not made aware a little bit earlier that there's going to be a media present, and then why we weren't invited to participate in some of those interviews as well too. Because I think it could have been an opportunity. In my mind, it's a missed opportunity. I think the best we had was a half second of the Blues and Brews truck that went by on the KTVU segment, and then they panned away. It was almost a great shot, but I think that we could have had maybe 30 seconds of just promoting the district and then talking about Blues and Brews, and it was a missed opportunity. So if staff could find out how we were not involved with that, I think I would appreciate it as a board. And that's just sort of that one request. In terms of the swim team, I'm having a great time. There's a lot of rhythm sometimes. Yeah. So I'm doing a lot of time. I just want to make just one particular comment. I'm really pleased to see the number of volunteers out there. It's been actually much better than last year. The parents this year are dialed in. I've been dialed. 4-hour shift is in. I'm handing off those papers to Bobby for 4 hours straight. And so I'm really glad to see the parents out there. I did want to ask either Corey or the swim team, though, to just take a look at, I think there were, I've been approached a few times, and I don't think it's not happening as much this year as in years past. It sounds like is that there are some volunteers who are not showing up to volunteer. And so some parents have to step up and then sort of fill in for those positions. I don't think it's happening as much this year. And I don't claim to know what people are doing that they may need to step away or do whatever it is, that's fine. But for those parents who do step up and actually do extra shifts or cover more, I was wondering if they could have some sort of extra credit for that, because it's really hard to take on two different positions when you're trying to cover, you know, a lot of different things. And so for those parents that sort of stepped up and they're doing extra work, simply because, you know, when you're doing the volunteer, you can't see your kid actually compete. And so they're giving up something. And so the fact that they're covering extra work, I was hoping that the swim team can take a look at maybe giving some of these parents who could get double shifts or cover other people a little extra credit for that. The last thing I'm gonna just say is that I'm gonna close with the quote from somebody else, but for myself. And so last year I did this, and this year I did it for the 4th of July. I did a little limerick. So I'll just recite the limerick again, just to close out this, because it's about, you know, Rec and Park. So I'll close it out with this poem. In Pleasant Hill, our spirit is bright. Our parks are a wondrous sight. And Park leads the way. We enjoy every day. With laughter, we spark pure delight. So I'll close it with that at 8:22 p.m. I got to reset it twice.
That was awesome.